righty, we'll get going here. Hi everyone, my name is Allison and I have the privilege of taking care of our community here at Zapier today. And we thought we'd do something a little different today. A lot of times we do trainings on how to use specific apps within Zapier, but we thought we'd switch it up a little bit today and take people through different ways that we see people using automation to help with their sales process. So there's so much of the sales process that is tedious and can really be helped with just a few automations. So we'll take you guys through a couple of tips and tricks today to maybe see if that spurs on anything in your mind that you might be doing that you could automate and hopefully cut minutes, hours, maybe even days out of your processes and give you time to spend to work more with your leads, building those relationships, closing those deals, instead of wasting so much time trying to generate the leads, bring them into whatever process you have, etc. So I'm really excited to kind of chat through a couple of these things today. We hopefully will touch on one or two things, like I said, that will really help you change the way that you're doing things, add a little bit of that automation, and really sort of save you a ton of time. So what I'm going to do is share my screen here. Oh, before I do that, I should let you all know that if you scroll down the page that you're on right now, just below me, you'll see a chat box. And my buddy Joe Stike is in there, and he's one of my teammates at Zapier, and he can answer any questions that you're having as we're going along here. So no need to wait to ask till the end or anything like that. Just pop those questions in the chat room as they come up, and Joe will be more than happy to answer them. We want to make sure that we get everyone taken care of and get all your questions answered. So I'm going to share my screen here, and we'll get going. There we go. All right. So normally when we kind of take people through trainings or sessions like this, we kind of, like I said, focus on one specific app. But today we're going to kind of touch on a lot of different things, a lot of different apps, a lot of different ways that you can maybe work one or two things into your process. So to start off, before we kind of jump into those specific automations, just wanted to touch a little bit on what's actually possible. So we actually see these come in through a lot of different ways that people use Zapier. They share their stories with us. And these are actual use cases that we see from a lot of our users. So we'll just kind of go through them here, and there's a few of them that we will kind of go down into and see how we can do that step by step. But the very first thing that I love talking about is newsletter subscribers. So a lot of people think that newsletters are more of a marketing thing, but you can actually use people who subscribe to your newsletters as sales leads if you wanted to. So that kind of walks the boundary between marketing and sales. But that's one really good way to generate leads, to grab leads, to kind of automate leads into your CRM, so to speak. So grabbing newsletter subscribers is a great way to do that. New landing page signups. So this is probably one of the more common sales things you can do. Whether you set up any sort of landing page with a form, and you can use any kind of app you might want to generate these landing page or forms, which is a very simple way to grab that information from a potential sales lead, just grabbing that information from the landing page and automating that data into your CRM or some other type of app. One interesting thing that I saw someone talk about when they shared their story with us is actually communicating across the team. So if you've got a sales team and a marketing team, a lot of times you'll see that there's a lot of unnecessary conversations happening between those two teams. And if we automate some of that process, then we can keep both teams on the same page and really sort of eliminate any extraneous meetings or anything else that might be happening. So that's another cool way that you could sort of automate part of your sales process. Another really cool thing that we've seen is using connections that come in from LinkedIn to generate any sort of a lead or kind of get them into the sales funnel. So two really cool things there would be any LinkedIn connections that your CEO might get. And then in the same vein, even new contacts in your CEO's mailbox. So you can actually connect Gmail to Zapier, and it will grab any information coming in from a new thread. So the very first time someone emails your CEO, we can automatically grab that information and send it over to a CRM, a spreadsheet, however you are sort of containing or grabbing your sales leads or keeping your sales leads. That's just another really unique thing you could do with automation. So you could try the LinkedIn thing, but you could also try any new incoming contacts to maybe not just your CEO's inbox, but anyone on your team, really. Another cool thing that I believe actually Joe, who's with you in the chat room, surfaced is using your second-degree connections in LinkedIn to get you introductions. And I know he wrote about that pretty extensively, so if you've got specific questions on that, I imagine he can answer those for you. But you can get introduced to your second-degree connections on LinkedIn, which is another great way to sort of contact people or get people into your funnel that you might not have necessarily thought about, but that would be a very, very easy process to automate. So it's just one particular thing that you might do to automatically pipe those particular leads into your sales tool. Webinar registrants are another great process you might want to automate. A lot of people are using webinars these days to create sales leads. And it's a very, very easy thing to do, to just automatically grab those registrants and funnel them directly into your sales process. So instead of you having to do that manually or worry about it, automation can help you with that. And then two sort of kind of outliers, but ones that I am actually really passionate about, and I think that might go unlooked by a lot of people, would be Twitter mentions and thought leadership. So you could use Twitter mentions if someone was mentioning your company or whatever that might be, that you might not already be a customer. You can automatically grab those Twitter mentions and have them piped into a spreadsheet, which you can then mine at a later date and pick out sales leads from there. So that's a really unique thing that you could do for sales. Another unique thing you could do for sales is something that I love to talk about, which is thought leadership. So before you even kind of get people into your sales funnel, think about ways that you can get them there. Thought leadership is a really, really wonderful thing that you can do. So you always be, creating and generating value for your potential customers. And the more value that you generate by helping them, by sharing information, whatever that might be, that's going to be another easy way to kind of get them into your sales funnel. And you can actually automate a lot of that. So you can worry about, again, those things that you want to worry about and not necessarily be too terribly concerned about doing the day-to-day tedium there. So that's a lot of information, and we're going to tackle a couple of them here. But hopefully, like I said, this kind of spurs on some ideas that you might kind of get, but you can apply these to things you might have going on yourself. So the very first thing that I want to chat about is grabbing information from forms or landing pages, whatever that might be, and sending them over to your CRM. So this is a very, very simple thing to do. I imagine that many of you are generating leads or gathering leads by a form. It's the way you, registered for today's session. I imagine there's a million different ways that people are doing this. But there's one little nuance here that I wanted to kind of break down for folks because I think it's really, really valuable and really simple. So I set up this really easy form. So of course I'm grabbing people's information anywhere out there I might want to. So their email address, their name. But this qualifier here is where automation really sort of pays off. So if you are grabbing information from folks, you may want to think about qualifying that or having them say, how'd you hear about us? Where'd you come from? That type of thing. So when I have this form here, I want to walk you through this particular automation and what that might look like so you never have to touch any of this. The person fills out the form. They're automatically put into your CRM in a specific spot that you can just go right in and start your sales process. So what this looks like as far as Zapier is concerned is the form I'm using is Wufoo, and we have many, many different form types and landing pages that work with Zapier. So you're not, you don't have to use Wufoo, but it's just an easy example for us to use. And then I'm sending those form entries over to Zoho CRM, which is one of the CRMs we support. And again, we support many, many different CRMs. So this is just an example. So what I'm saying here is that anytime anyone fills out my form, I'm automatically going to create them as a lead in my CRM. So like I said, I never touch them. They just automatically end up in my CRM, and I can start my process right there instead of worrying about gathering and curating this information. And the kicker, to me anyway, is one specific thing that we can do with filters. So if I skip down to step 4 here, you see I've got Allison's Great Sales Form, which is the form that I was showing you here in Wufoo. And what I love the most about this is being able to use this qualifier. So how did you hear about us? When the person selects that, I can filter on that. So I can say only people that heard about us from a webinar end up in Zoho CRM under that heading. And I'll show you what that looks like. So if you want to filter people into buckets or funnels or whatever you want to call it in your CRM, you can do that by setting up one Zap per qualifier here. And then those leads will automatically generate into your CRM right where you want them to. So if you've got, you'll automatically know how that person found you, who they are, and you can basically kick halfway into the sales process and not have to start from the very, very beginning. So we see that this is only going to trigger, only going to automate this process when someone clicks on the webinar button in my form. So you see that here. So when that person selects the webinar, that's what's going to trigger this form. And then that's going to be matched up to Zoho like so. So you see I've got all these fields here from Zoho. I can click on insert fields from Wufoo, and that's going to match up the information from the form to my CRM. So you see I've got first name, I've got last name, I've got email address. But to me, this is the real kicker. So when I've got my lead source here, I put in webinar. So like I said, anyone who fills out that form, selects webinar in the form itself, like I showed you here, that is what's going to go over to Zoho CRM. So only people who select that webinar selector will go into Zoho and will have webinar as their lead source. So you won't have all of these other different lead sources, or maybe not even know what they are at all. They will automatically be sent there. You'll see what they are, and it's very, very, very simple. So like I said, instead of having just this sort of blanket list of people, you can really funnel them down into specific areas in your CRM, or label them or tag them or whatever that might be for you, what that might look like for you. So you always know where your leads have come from, and you can act on them accordingly. So that's a really, really cool way that we can automate this process, which can be really tedious, grabbing information and getting it into your CRM seamlessly. As far as CRMs go, like I said, we work with a ton of them. So anything from Salesforce to Infusionsoft, Zoho, Pipedrive, HubSpot, Highrise, Insightly, all these great CRMs. So you're not, don't worry about if you don't use Zoho CRM. You can connect any form that you might want to into any of these CRMs. So the sky's really, really the limit here. So that's a really, really cool, easy way to sort of generate those leads and get that whole process going and automated right from the start. I know that I talked about thought leadership, and a lot of people might not think of that as part of a sales process, but I honestly believe that that's really, truly the early stages of the sales process is sharing the information that you have, creating really good content, getting people interested in what you're doing, And if you can automate a lot of that, then again, that's far less time that you have to spend worrying about sharing that information, making sure that you get it out to people. You can just automate that and not have to worry about it. So one way that you can do that is if you are writing, if you have a blog or website or whatever, however you're creating content that you want to share with people and hopefully, again, generate leads from that content, a very, very easy thing you can do is connect the RSS feed of that, wherever that content is, to your Buffer queue. So if you're not familiar with Buffer, it's a really great, easy way to share your content socially. So all across all the social web, all the social profiles that you use. And Buffer will actually queue it up for you. So you can keep this queue of content that you're sharing. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be content you create. You just want to create value for your audience. So if that's using other people's content that you want to share, Buffer is also a great way to do that. So you can queue up a bunch of tweets, a bunch of Facebook posts, Google Plus posts, whatever that might be, and constantly keep your audience engaged, which again leads to quicker getting people into the funnel quicker and getting building those relationships for those sales quicker. So this is a very simple thing to do. Like I said, it's something I think is really overlooked. And as far as it's concerned in Zapier, all you would need to do is input the URL of the RSS feed, and that could be really anything. If you use RSS for your blog or your website, you already know what this is. It's very, very simple to find. And then all you need to do is tell Buffer, I want this to go to my Twitter queue in Buffer. And I really like to just do the title and the link from the RSS feed. So we see here, I've already selected it, but I've got my title and then I've got a link. And so anytime I have content I want to share, it will just tweet out the title and the link, and that will bring people right into my content, which very easily your content could have a form on the side. It could have, your lead generation tools or the start of your sales process might actually be on the same page with that content. So just again, think about that in that context and really wanting to truly add value to people and share that content. But using it to maybe kick off your sales process or at least get people in the door. Just something to think about. I know that's a little unique and out there as far as sales goes, but I think it's overlooked and that a lot of people can get a lot of value from it. The last thing I'll touch on here is an automation that we actually did a case study on, and it was a really interesting process of a company that was saying, our sales team and our marketing team are different and operate in different sort of atmospheres, so to speak. But we need to connect their tools together so we don't waste all this time having meetings, worrying about leads that our marketing team might be generating, getting to our sales team, making sure those leads are qualified, all of that. So what we do is we take our marketing software and connect it to our sales software, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. So HubSpot and Salesforce, probably the two most popular versions of those tools out there. So HubSpot would be our marketing platform, and Salesforce is our sales platform, obviously. So as our marketing team does all of the work, or all of their work, I guess I should say, so they're creating content, they're getting the word out there for you, they're doing all these things, and they are generating leads for you. So they've got forms, like we saw earlier. They've got other bits and pieces that might be a part of their marketing software. But that data lives there, and your sales team might actually be working out of another platform. So maybe that's RelateIQ, or that's another CRM, or that's something else that your other team is working on. And the case study, which is actually linked if you scroll down the page that you're on just a little bit, one of the resources there is this particular case study. And I thought it was really interesting because the two teams were wasting so much time trying to liaise on sales leads that they had coming from the marketing side. And they needed to get that over to the sales side and get those leads into the sales funnel so that their sales team could act on them. And so now what they've done is they've set up this particular automation so they don't worry about that anymore. They've got their HubSpot is their marketing program, and then they've got Relate IQ, but we're looking at Salesforce here. It's all the same. We're just thinking the same theory here. And now they have cut out an entire step in their process. So instead of them having to figure out who's where, what leads are ready, those pieces of software are just connected together. And so every day your sales team, or if it's you, can just jump in and automatically get going, start building relationships with those leads, and not have to worry about what marketing team is doing, because that data is automatically getting funneled into your sales program. So if we look at that from the Zapier perspective, we can see, we'll do something like this, like anytime I have a new contact in a particular list in HubSpot, so excuse me, maybe we've generated a new contact and we put it in a specific list, which we as marketers do all the time, then that would automatically create a lead in Salesforce for me. So if my marketing team has done their job and is generating all of these, these inbound leads for me, then if I get them in my, as a salesman, if I get them in my sort of lead already generated, ready to go, I can just act on it. And I think it's really, really straightforward as far as the automation goes. I know what what list I want to look at here. So we see that this particular list is Kirk's form submissions. So, maybe we've got one of our marketing teams set up a form on a particular landing page, or it's some other way that they were using forms on the marketing side. And now anyone who fills out that form is automatically going to be created as a Salesforce lead. So when I click on Insert Fields here, that's going to bring all my data over from HubSpot. I can match that up. So I've got last name, I've got their company, any contact information here, email address, first name, and there's a lot of custom fields here too. But just think about this as a way for you to cut out that step, not worry about liaising or connecting or meeting with anyone on your marketing team. You doing sales, all you have to worry about is data that's already there for you in your sales program. You can use it anytime you want. You don't have to worry about all this extraneous work. You can just focus on contacting that lead, building a relationship with that lead, and hopefully closing that sale. We have a lot of lead generation tools that we work with as well. So I know that we were speaking earlier about CRMs that we integrate with. Same thing goes for lead generation. So if you're using any sort of lead generation, you can connect those apps to your CRM, to a spreadsheet, whatever that might be. So instead of you having to worry about your inbound leads that are coming in, how am I going to get that data? What am I going to do with it? How much tedium is going to go into me transferring those leads? With Zapier, you can just automatically connect those together and not have to worry about that again. This is me. I think we've kind of exhausted a lot of what we can cover here today. It's just been right about half hour. I'm so glad that everyone could join us. This is my contact information. My email address, you can find me on Twitter. This is our Zapier contact information. We're more than happy to answer any questions you have about this at any time. I know we really kind of skimmed the surface, but I hope that out of this list we were talking about, that maybe it hopefully kind of sparked a couple of ideas that you might have in your mind about ways that you can say, hey, I do that. But I don't want to, I want to do that automatically now, or I don't really do that yet, but now that I know that I can automate it, I can also add that to my sales process, because it's not going to add any more time to my day. I think that's really important too. So here's my information again. contact@zapier.com actually goes to everyone on the team, and we're always happy to answer any questions you might be having anytime. Feel free to ask away. We'll talk about anything that we need to and make sure that we get all your questions answered. So that's it for me. Thank you everyone again so much for joining us. I'm going to hang out in the chat room as long as I need to. We'll get all your questions answered, or like I said, if you need to, feel free to email us anytime. and we will take care of those as well. But I hope we've given you some good ideas, at least to get, like I said, get the ball rolling, either automate process that you're not doing yet, or maybe starting or adding something else to your sales funnel that you can easily automate and will enhance what you have going on. So thank you so much, everyone. And like I said, email us anytime, and we'll continue to chat as long as we need to. Bye-bye.